Well, happy Aloha Friday. Welcome to Spotlight Hawaii. I'm Yunji Denise, joined by Ryan Kalei-Suji. And Ryan, the never-ending election continues. We are actually taking a step away from politics today to talk about economic opportunities here in Hawaii. We're so happy to have you all with us today. Two very exciting guests, Ryan.
That's right. We will be joined by Donne Dawson as well as Omar Sultan from Sultan Ventures. But first, we want to bring in Donne Dawson from the Hawaii Film Office. Donne, great to see you. Thanks so much for joining us and for being here. We know that, of course, a lot has been impacted by COVID-19, and certainly the film industry in Hawaii is one of those industries that were put on pause. If you can sort of give us an update about where we're at right now with the film industry in Hawaii since COVID-19.
Well, good morning and mahalo to you both for having me. I think we're in a much better place today than we were 6 or 7 months ago, of course, when we're starting to see productions coming back. We've already had 3 or 4 productions that have successfully come and gone during the midst of this pandemic, and we have more coming with actually Magnum PI, Magnum PI, I'm thinking Hawaii Five-0 for a second, Magnum PI in its 3rd season, and 2 other TV shows that are ramping up to begin later this year. So things are looking bright, and I think that it is in large part due to the film industry, the studios, the labor unions that have been working diligently with medical experts all over the country to determine how best to reopen the film industry globally, across the country and in Hawaii in the safest manner possible.
Yunji's mic seems to be muted.
Sorry about that. I muted. Let's talk a little bit about the economic impact. You know, obviously Hawaii Five-0 and Magnum PI, those are high-profile productions, but there are other, films. There's a lot of production that actually takes place in the islands. How big is this, and how many jobs are we talking about pre-pandemic and then now?
Well, going back in history a little bit to 2006, which was the year that our tax incentive was passed, that helps make it cost efficient for productions to come here. We have seen a quadrupling in the size of our industry, from about in the neighborhood of $100 million a year in direct spend to our record year of production in 2018, which was close to $500 million in direct dollars spent, and nearly 5,000 workers or jobs created in association with those dollars. And then once you pump those dollars through our economy, you're looking at $830 million in overall economic impact. So it's substantial, and it has the potential to grow to be even greater.
You know, there was obviously some concern about production starting in Hawaii once again because of, the case numbers that we saw earlier during the summer months. But we do know that there has been some pretty stringent rules and regulations about production and filming. We know that Magnum PI actually has integrated mask wearing and that whole protocol into the production. Can you talk a little bit about how, just the overall preparedness of and factoring COVID-19 has changed productions on sets?
Yes, and that probably is the biggest component of why the film industry is so poised and ready to take on this strong role in helping to restart our economy. And that is because the studios and the labor unions have come up with an agreement, a document, if you will, called the Safe Way Forward. And what that does is it sets the parameters of how the film industry is to conduct itself in the midst of a pandemic in a supremely safe manner. And what you see in that is essentially testing that is required as a condition of employment, if they're traveling to the location where they're filming, pre-travel and post-arrival, with an element of quarantine in the middle. They work in different safe isolation zones, if you will, so that you minimize the different departments crossing over, and particularly with regard to actors who are the most vulnerable, because they're not wearing masks and they're not able to social distance, if you will, physical distance, while they're in front of the camera. And all of these things combined have made the film industry, it's already been a very, very safe environment because safety is first on any film set. But with COVID in the mix, they have done an exemplary job of creating these COVID-free environments and keeping them COVID-free so that they can get their work done. And what we're seeing is a much more efficient manner of getting their work done and move on to the next project without any incident.
You know, looking forward to 2021 and lawmakers coming back into session in January, I wonder if you could speak to the idea of the tax credits and if there is more that needs to be done to attract productions here. What are you hoping for support from lawmakers, you know, when it comes to this industry?
Well, I think first and foremost, we'd like our lawmakers to understand the value of this industry, not only in terms of it being a good, clean industry for Hawaii that provides, you know, good paying jobs for our residents, but also an industry that is, you know, writers, actors, producers, directors are all the quality, high spending tourists that we want to come here. And if you compare what a film production spends, you know, 30, you know, for every $30,000 spent for tourism, that would equate to what the number of people that would be on any given film production, that would equate to about 4,500 or 5,000 tourists in Hawaii. And so it's a much more efficient spend, if you will, which is less impact to the state. These are quality, high spending tourists that are not only coming here to work, they're bringing their families out to stay on afterwards and eating in all of our best restaurants, staying at our best hotels, et cetera, et cetera.
And so as we head into this legislative session, of course, we know that lawmakers are going to have to make some tough decisions about budgets and so forth. So what is sort of the film office's proposal to the legislature? What maybe are you going to be asking for in order to remain competitive in this industry? Because I have to imagine there's going to be a lot of other locations throughout the world that are also like Hawaii, seeing this as an opportunity. And it's almost going to be kind of like a bidding war to see what location can get these films and these productions. What are you going to be recommending, I guess, to the legislature during the next couple of months?
I would say, first and foremost, to keep our tax credit, our refundable production tax credit intact, because it is a vital tool to our ability to market the state in a fiercely competitive climate globally. And a really good example of this is the loss of Dwayne Johnson's passion project, the Young Rock TV show, which will not be filming primarily in Hawaii, it will be in Australia. And that's a huge loss for the state, but it's illustrative as to how incentives that can be provided by any U.S. jurisdiction or any country are going to ultimately rule the day in terms of attracting those key projects to their shores.
What about the Trans-Pacific travel reopening? How has that impacted the work that is able to be done here? I know that I would imagine that before Trans-Pacific travel reopened, you did have essentially bubbles created for the sets. But now that people are able to come and go a little more freely, is that something that will help film production here?
Well, we did have, interestingly, we had a modified quarantine program before the October 15 Trans-Pacific reopening. And that was in effect from the beginning of June to right up to the October 15th date. And what that did was it provided an exemption, if you will, for film productions to come in, knowing that they were required as a condition of employment to take a pre-travel test, self-quarantine in their place of origin, jump on a plane, come to Hawaii, immediately go into quarantine for a week, essentially. So it compressed the 14-day quarantine, followed by a secondary test. And only when that secondary test was negative results came out of that secondary test were they cleared to go to work. And that worked really, really well. Now we're kind of it's kind of a hybrid situation because we need to follow what the Safe Travels Hawaii program is requiring. We can't ask any more of these film productions than is being asked of the other travelers that are trans-Pacific travelers, but understanding that it is still a condition of their employment to have the before and after testing and to have a minimal 48 hours quarantine in between those two tests. And so they're doing that, but they're doing that voluntarily. It is not something that the state is imposing where prior the modified quarantine allowed for that.
We want to talk more about some of the things that we can look forward to from the production standpoint. Of course, we know Magnum PI continues here in the islands. We lost Hawaii Five-0 because of the end of that production. But what other projects are you folks looking towards that are confirmed to be coming at the end of this year or looking even into 2021? Can you, talk about any of those potential or projects that are coming up?
Yes, I think the biggest one I want to talk about and mention to you is the Doogie Kamealoha MD project, which is a Disney Plus project, and it is a reboot of the beloved Doogie Howser MD show. But the lead in that Doogie Kamealoha MD reboot is a young Hawaiian girl, and so I guess the child prodigy that becomes the doctor is going to be a young Hawaiian, a young woman. And that's really exciting. And they will be ramping up right around Thanksgiving. And then we also have another Sony television project that is different altogether. It's more of a horror genre, but it's an interesting story as well, and they are also planning to come toward the end of the year. So we will, in effect, have 3 television series in play at the same time, if you include Magnum PI in its 3rd season.
That's fantastic. It's great to hear. And I know a lot of people love the opportunity to do any kind of, walk on or any kind of extra roles. That's always exciting for people in Hawaii. For people who are sort of on the outside of this looking in, what would you say to, aspiring actors or aspiring cinematographers, makeup artists, what have you? How do they make sure that they still have a foothold in this industry when they see so many other opportunities disappearing? In Hawaii and in this industry, it's all about relationships. It's all about building relationships. It's about networking. It's about making yourself, known. And I think we might have lost your audio there.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you lost part of your audio, Donnie.
I think she's going to lose her earbuds.
I don't know why.
There we go.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
I don't know. It just magically muted me. So anyway, just, I think it's all about networking and proving your
to the industry. They can always come to our website, filmoffice.hawaii.gov, and check on what current productions are in play. Send resumes and headshots, talk to our local casting directors who are always looking for new talent. But I think it's really just about building relationships and taking an interest in this industry. We also have a very, very strong relationship with our public schools, with the University of Hawaii system, the Academy for Creative Media, the public schools. One of the main mandates for the tax credit program is the projects productions have to give back to our public and charter schools by way of internships and mentorships and cash and in-kind contributions to film and video programs within those public and charter schools. And that is a really great connect because it gives our young up-and-coming creatives the ability to have real-world experience on film productions.
Well, Donne Dawson, thank you so much for taking time to join us and giving us an update. We know the importance of the Hawaii Film Office, and it's really a critical part of the economy moving forward. And we'll continue to keep posted to see, hopefully, that more productions are coming here to the island to support this rebuilding, if you will, of Hawaii's economy. So thank you so much for joining us.
Mahalo to you both, and thank you for all the work you do. It's really important to our community.
Thank you. Aloha.
Thank you so much. Well, great to hear that there. And you did hear that if you are interested, Hawaii Film Office, obviously check out their website and make sure that you are making those connections as well. Another way to make connections if you are out of work right now is to check out the Aloha Connects Innovation program. And to talk more about that this morning, we're joined by Omar Sultan of Sultan Ventures. Thank you so much for being here. Good morning. Let's start with the basics and talk about what this program is.
Morning, and thank you for having me on the show so I can share a little bit more information about Aloha Connects Innovation. Really, what Aloha Connects Innovation is about is can we find a way to serve our displaced workers, our furloughed workers, those that are out of job because of the pandemic, and provide them with this like upskill, reskill opportunity, right? So can we get them out of that sort of unemployment line, put them into jobs to earn wages, to get health benefits, and then to help try to diversify our economy.
And so talk a little bit about that program, how it's initiated, because we know that this is funded through CARES Act money, which, of course, as we've heard throughout this pandemic, that is expiring at the end of the year. What sort of is the timeline looking like, and how is this sort of all coming together?
Yeah, it is funded by CARES Act funding. We wanted to see if we could, and I say we, so the Economic Development Alliance of Hawaii is the one that is running the Aloha Connects Innovation Program. It's funded by DBET, the Business Economic Development Organization of the state. The deadline, because it is CARES Act funding and it has to be used before the end of the year, otherwise it gets returned to the federal government, and I don't think anyone in Hawaii would want to see those monies get returned. So the deadline for this particular program is December 15th. So anyone placed within a company, anyone that is placed within the program has until December 15th to get that on-the-job training, to get those new experiences, to perhaps get a pathway to better career opportunities moving forward.
And so let's say that, for those folks who are watching who may have lost a job, what kind of workers are you looking for? Is there any kind of specific industry or kind of talent base that you're looking for, and how many opportunities are still available?
When we set up the Aloha Connects Innovation Program, we wanted to, again, like a core aspect of it is, can we look at creating a more resilient Hawaii? When we look at Hawaii 2.0, what does that look like? How does it become more resilient, more sustainable, and more prosperous, right? So we're really looking at non-tourism dependent industries. Nothing against tourism whatsoever, but really, can we look at an opportunity to diversify the economy? And so we aligned it with the Aloha Plus Challenge sectors. So you think about energy efficiency or renewable energies, think about the STEM fields, local food production, healthcare, technologies, the skilled trades, things like that, waste reduction, things that really can help improve our communities here in Hawaii.
And so how many people are currently enrolled in the program, and how much more can you handle right now with the amount of money that's remaining in this CARES Act money to essentially use it all up before this deadline?
So we have currently roughly 300 people already placed within companies here in Hawaii. It's all completely 100% for local companies and local displaced workers and furloughed workers. We have over 150 companies signed up. Every single day, there's new companies that signed up to create this space for individuals to really learn new career skills. We have over 1,000 people that are applying to jobs in the system. So we have more people applying than we can actually place. We're hoping that perhaps with some change in federal regulations, the CARES Act funding can get extended beyond December 15th, and that more funding can flow into the program so that we can help place more individuals within the Aloha Connects Innovation Program. And like beyond the wages, there's health benefits. Full health benefits are provided to all of the placed individuals. And I think that's really important for a time like this when we're facing a health pandemic.
So the idea being that even though the money would run out on December 15th, hopefully some of these employees would then turn over and become employees that are not paid by the CARES Act money, but of course paid by the companies themselves. Do we know what kind of retention rate you're hoping for with this, or what, beyond the, month and a half left of employment, what these beneficiaries can actually get out of it?
I don't know that we are able to tell how many will be able to move into permanent positions. We're definitely excited to see what that rate is. I know that a lot of the companies that have signed up said that, assuming that there's a good fit and 2020 doesn't throw another curveball at us, that they are interested in actually bringing on the people for permanent positions. So that opportunity does exist with a lot of the companies.
And so take us through this process. You said there's about 1,000 people that you have right now, right? In sort of like in the queue, I guess, waiting to kind of get placed into positions. And so are you folks seeking out more applicants for people to apply for positions as well as jobs? And how would one, if there's a company out there, what should they do? And if there's an individual out there watching, what should they do, I guess?
So anyone interested, company or individual-wise, should go to edahawaii.org. There you can find the different positions, and you can find ways to enroll as a host company to provide these opportunities for our displaced workers. And then individuals that are interested can see the different career opportunities and jobs that they can apply for. We're not playing matchmaker, right? So we've created this program and architected it and have the platform to be able to have the host company sign on, and then the participants apply themselves for these different positions that they want to learn more about. The pay range is between $15 and $25 an hour, and we're allowing that natural sort of connection and interview process to happen. It happens at a very, very accelerated rate. Within sort of like a job posting and an application, within 2 or 3 days, we are seeing that placements are actually happening.
That's fantastic. So anyone who is interested, you see Michael there put the website in the comments, so we appreciate that. Is there a specific kind of worker that you are looking for? I know you said that this is not tourism, of course, but is there a skill set that you think is preferential or that you should come with, or is it basically anybody?
No, I think that was part of the origin. Well, I know that was part of the origin of creating this, right? It's really anyone that is seeking perhaps better or different career skills, or wants to explore, or has imagined better career pathways. This is for them, right? So there's no prerequisite in terms of skills that are required. A lot of our host companies know that this is sort of a training opportunity, on-the-job training. They've dedicated staff and time to be able to upskill and reskill our displaced workers. So it's really like anyone that's interested should and could apply. And we're definitely looking, to Ryan's question, we're definitely looking for more host companies and more participants.
And on the host company, sorry, Ryan, on that host company question, does the host company, obviously the employee gets paid through the CARES Act money, does the host company get any additional benefit as well?
Great question. Yes, so when I architected this and when others started to add their mana'o to it, we wanted to acknowledge that lift and that space that the host company is providing. So there is a reimbursement on a per monthly, per participant basis for the host companies. We know that businesses, just as much as individuals, are also hurting because of this pandemic. And so we wanted to create a way to support them as well as they continue to try to last and survive, and hopefully, turn the corner and start prospering during these crazy, crazy times.
Can you briefly give us maybe a few examples of some of the companies that are involved in this, just to get an idea of those companies and corporations that maybe are already involved in this organization and this program, I should say?
Absolutely. We've got the different accelerators involved. So we've got the economic development boards involved. We have technology companies. We have cultural sort of research companies. The variance is significant. So it's not pigeonholed to just technology. It's not pigeonholed to just like renewable energy. There's a huge diversity amongst the different host companies and the opportunities that are available for those that are interested in getting upskilled, reskilled, and trained. The other part of this that's really cool is that there's training. So a lot of times we hear like, there's a position available, but in order to be eligible for it, you need some type of special technical training or certificate or whatnot. There's funding to support that type of training as well. So it really is a robust program that is at the core of it meant to serve our local community.
All of it sounds great, but I think the hard piece here is that we're running out of time, right? We're running up against the end of the year. Is the hope, now that you've set up this infrastructure, because my understanding is that it sort of all came together in September, is the hope that, if there is another round of CARES funding, that you guys can just continue with this work with the existing infrastructure, or does this definitely expire at the end of the year?
No, it's been designed so that it can live beyond just the CARES Act funding and beyond the end of the year. Of course, more funding needs to flow into it in order for it to be able to support the participants and the host companies. So we're very hopeful that the state or the federal government or other monies will become available to continue this program into next year. It really is a great way to help diversify Hawaii's economy, to look at the emerging sectors, to boost the innovation ecosystem that is here in Hawaii and help grow it beyond just dependency on any one sector.
All right. Again, so that website is edahawaii.org, correct?
Correct.
All right. So encourage everybody out there, those who may be looking for maybe a new start in this time of COVID or learning a new skill, as Omar suggested, to check them out, as well as companies that may be interested in also providing opportunities for people to learn about their industry and potentially, as you said, gain an employee down the line that could help overall with the organization. So Omar, thank you so much for taking time to join us, and fantastic work on this program that you have going on here.
Thank you both for having me.
Aloha.
Thank you. I think, Ryan, one key piece that he talked about there was the training, just that even if you don't necessarily get a job with the company that you're assigned to, or, if the CARES Act money does run out and that company can't afford to keep you, if you do have that training, perhaps you can leverage that for another company in the future. So it's good to think of this beyond the, however many weeks we have left in 2020, that it is something that could help you make that pivot at no cost.
And we know that there are a lot of people out there who are looking to figure out what their next steps may be because of unemployment situation. We know that a lot of people in the tourism industry also have suffered tremendously and are still waiting to go back to work. And so with this opportunity presents, a chance to kind of pivot in your career path. As he said, unfortunately, the clock is ticking, and hopefully we will see a further extension of CARES Act money or some of those regulations that will allow for a program like this to continue on. But as he said, it was sort of designed to sort of live beyond that. So we'll see and really stay connected with them to give you updates on how this goes, because if this is something that can continue on, we'd certainly love to be able to help promote this and get people back to work or into a new industry as well.
It's true. We talk about diversifying the economy all the time, but this is a way that actually, people could get the opportunity to do that. Next week, Ryan, we've got a whole new slate of guests. We've booked the rest of November, and we've got some great guests coming up. Monday, we'll be talking to Angela Keene from Hawaii Quarantine Kapu Breakers. The paper did a big article on her earlier in the week and about that organization, and they've been doing some really critical work when it comes to making sure that people are sticking to the rules to stop the spread of the coronavirus.
Yeah, and as the HPD and the city, as well as the state, continues to find ways to enforce these quarantine regulations that they've sort of put in place for those that are not taking the pre-travel test, organizations like this, they say are important because they actually get a lot of their tips from what Angela is doing. So we want to get an update of how that whole process works, some of the success stories that she's seen, and just get insights overall on how they are managing and working hand in hand with the city and the state. We are also going to be joined next week by Dr. Emily Robertson, who will be joining the conversation. She, of course, is leading the contact tracing. She was brought on sort of midway through this pandemic and has really had to beef up the contact tracing capabilities of the state and the Department of Health. We also will be talking to her about some of the things that she's done in her time to sort of assist with this effort to improve on Hawaii's contact tracing efforts and really get a better understanding of what that means. I think a lot of us think we understand and how that process of contact tracing goes since we've started this pandemic, but there obviously is a lot of nuances and things that they look at and they look into. So we'll be talking more to her about that, and that's on Wednesday.
Yep, that's on Wednesday. And then Friday, we're going to be talking to Jeff Wagner from Outrigger. That'll be interesting because he'll give us an update on what's happening to the bottom line when it comes to hotels. And, you know, the tourists that we've seen come, are they enough to keep a lot of these critical hotels and properties running? You know, we are getting thousands of people coming here a day, but we were looking pre-pandemic at 30,000 arrivals a day. We're nowhere near that. So what does the landscape look like now that we have Trans-Pacific travel reopened? So it'll be a great week. We're really looking forward to it. We, of course, wish you a very safe weekend. Wear a mask, socially distance, do all the things. And we will see you right back here on Monday with Angela Keene at 10:30.
Have a great weekend. We'll see you then.